All right, we are live with another episode of Cafe Crash. I am your host, Daniel Crosier, and I am privileged to be joined with Kevin A. Johnson, the amazingly talented artist. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good. And glad to be here. Glad you wanted me to interview me. I'm very excited about doing it. Like I said, I watched a few of your shows before, and when you asked me to join, I said I would definitely do that.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, yeah, Kevin. I think we met like a little bit over 10 years ago when you were just starting to do comics, and I think meeting you at like Comics Fest at Starfest, those type of shows.
Yes.
And I've watched you as your skill level and your talent and your career has just taken off. It's been really remarkable and very just wonderfully encouraging and inspirational. So I've been looking forward to learn more about you and just take the time to talk to you a little bit more. What better time to do it than during a pandemic?
Yep, stuck in the house.
Yeah, but when we were off camera, we were talking about your studio. It looks like you've got some projects behind you.
Right.
Are those going off to a gallery show?
Actually, I got like art reps to do represent me in a gallery in Atlanta, Georgia,
Cool.
and
Nice.
so normally what I do my paintings. They don't tell me what to paint or how to paint or whatever. I do everything from my own imagination, stuff like that. And so when I get my paintings done, I kind of say, hey, this is a new work I got. I send them an email and they'll take a look at it and say, we definitely want to put that in our gallery or something like that. So since, the pandemic's going on, there's not a lot of shows going on. So that's
Yeah.
in the spiel right now. So, yep. So, but I keep it here in my house until they let me know, hey, we got a sale or whatever. And then that's when I ship it to them.
Cool. See, Kevin, for everybody that's watching out there, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where you come from, because you had also a military career, and how you got into art.
Well, art is something I've always loved. Something I've always done. Actually, that's what kind of got me in the military because I want to go to school for art, and I always heard about the school in Chicago called the Chicago Institute of Art. And I had a friend. I'm originally from Louisville, Kentucky, so I grew up in Louisville, and had a friend that went to the school, and he was telling me stories about it. I'm like, man, I want to go to that school. So I went to junior college for commercial art before they had computers. Was doing everything by hand. And one day I was walking down the hallway in school and I saw the sign on the wall that said "Get money for college," and of course it was join the military. So I looked into it, and originally I was going to go join just the reserves so I can come back home. And so I went to the recruiter office, signed up, took the test, passed the test, and I was like, "Yeah, I wanted to join." They said, "Well, if you go regular Army, we can give you more money for school." And I was like, well, I don't have anything else going on. I had no family or kids, nothing like that. So, okay, let me go ahead and try full-time military. So did the military for 21 years in the end.
Wow. So I made this joke off camera, but yeah, essentially your career can legally drink.
Yeah, 21. Yes, it can. 21 years.
Oh, man. So, what were you doing in the military? Like, what was your role?
Well, I did food service. One of the things going into the military, I didn't want to do a combative MOS. But the funny thing about that is no matter what job you have in the military, once a war kick off, something like that happened, we all come combative. So,
right.
I deployed to Iraq during the Gulf War. I was 20 years old. I just joined the military, like I told you off camera. Turned 21 in Iraq. So we talked about the drinking joke earlier. So I couldn't even drink in Iraq. You know what I mean? They had a rule against me being 21 in the military. And then deployed 3 more times after that. I deployed after 9/11, and I went to Afghanistan. Then I went to Iraq 2 more times after Afghanistan.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man. So you've seen a lot of that part of the world.
Oh yeah, I've been to. I feel like it was home sometimes when I went back.
Oh, okay. Wow. Yeah, I'm sure the you went there to initially, you went into the military to get money to go to art school. Were you
Right.
ever able to fulfill that dream?
Well, yes, 21 years later.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, the good thing about the military is you can take college while you're in the military,
Right, right.
and they pay up to 95% or 90%, something like that.
Oh,
And
cool.
so while you're in, you can take classes. So I took the basic course. I wanted to take art classes, but I couldn't find a school that had art classes until I got to Fort Campbell. And we had the option called the college option where you can re-enlist, and
Mhm.
you can go to school for 6 months. So that means without going to your day job. When I was, my military, I didn't have to show up to formations. I didn't have to go to work. I just could go to school for 6 months without touching the military. So I did.
Okay.
So I did take some figure drawing classes while I was in the military, and a few 2D
Cool.
design classes while I was in the military. And then after that, like I said, 21 years later, I actually finished, and I went to college after was it in 2012.
Okay.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
Well, that's pretty cool. Looks like got a comment coming in from Matt Campbell. He's
Right.
asking, "How is Black Line coming, Kevin?"
Well, talking about Black Line, we just finished book number 3.
Nice.
That's the first book you got that started when I met Ron Foyer at the Rocky Mountain Con. And I think that's right when I started college, man. It was a crazy year because I, I was still working a full-time job.
Uh-huh.
I was in college full-time, and then started working on Black Line Book 1 full-time with Ron Foyer. So that was a crazy time. So
Wow.
now, to answer your question, Matt, we're on book number 3, which I just finished. I'm going to hold it up.
Oh,
This is book
sweet.
number 3 just finished.
Oh, congrats. That's awesome.
Yep. So that's the 3rd chapter of the Black Line. It's going to end up being a graphic novel. So I'm like working on the last chapter right now. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
What's it? You're incredibly versatile. So let me go back and like kind of bring up some. Obviously, this is some of your early comic book work,
Right.
and I suspect that's one of the interiors.
Well,
Is it or no?
no, this is just me. Just since like you said, I do so much like painting and stuff like that. This
Mhm.
is like me doodling. That's like my break away from the paint.
Oh, okay.
I jump
Cool.
on the computer real quick and jump in the Clip Studio at night before I go to bed and just start drawing real quick and just draw some lines out and just see what I can come up with.
Nice. But the stuff that I really love of yours is the painting.
Right.
The portraits that you do. I'm a sucker for patterns. So all the pattern, like that shirt. Oh my gosh, I love that. So what's it like transitioning between comic book and painting like this?
Well, it's weird because comics was my first love growing up, and I was influenced by a lot of old school artists who are considered old school artists now, like George Perez.
Yeah.
John Byrne was probably the biggest influence on me back in the late
Cool.
80s, early 80s, and early 80s, I guess, mid 80s. And then the 90s kicked off, with Image Comics, and then Jim Lee was like my big influence. So behind John Byrne is Jim Lee, and then a little bit of J. Scott Campbell. But anyway, so the transition is that I always want to do painting because in my family I have an aunt who paints as well. And growing up as a kid, I would see her paintings on the wall, and I was like, man, I would love to do that. So I used to get her to draw pictures and stuff like that, but I never painted, and really never painted until like late in life because digital painting came out. I started doing digital painting first.
Mm-hmm.
Before I touched, the real good stuff. Going back to the military career, it was hard for me to take painting classes and stuff like that. So I would just watch, YouTube wasn't even out then either. So I would just get on websites and just watch written tutorials or read tutorials on how people paint and stuff like that. And I would just try to practice and teach myself a little bit here and there.
Wow, that's cool. So you're when it comes to painting and digital painting, you're pretty well self-taught.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
That's
the last 5 or 6 years, I actually got lucky because of artist that I admired before I got to Colorado, and his name was Thomas Blackshear.
okay.
I used to research a lot of artists and stuff like that and try to figure out, learn things about different artists just to see what their techniques were and stuff like that. And I was
Yeah.
like, man, it would be nice to meet some of these people one day, right? And
Right.
so I actually got to Colorado in 2008. And then
Oh,
2009, I started getting into the comic book scene and art more seriously. And on Fort Carson, on a military base, we have things called PXs or shopettes, which are military malls and stuff like that. So one of the vendors I talked to had some figurines. I said, that's like a Thomas Blackshear figurine. And she said, yes, it is. She said, you know, he lives here in Colorado Springs. I was like, what? I said, are you serious? He said, yeah, for real. I said, oh, man. So I'll try to find his phone number. I try to find phone books with his number in it, email. I mean, I
yeah.
couldn't. So I actually found him and I called him up one day and he answered the phone. So I was really shocked. I was like, man, that's crazy. And we talked a little bit and he said, I asked him, did you have an internship? I want to learn how to paint because I didn't know how to really paint. And he said, no, I don't have an internship. I said, well, I'm sorry for bothering you, taking your time
Oh,
away. He's like, are you going to give up that easy?
right.
I said, well, no. I said, if you want to teach me, I can come by and meet you. And he scheduled time for us to meet, but then we really didn't get a chance to meet up in the end because of some other things going on. And then,
Okay.
believe it or not, almost 2 years later, at the Denver Comic Con, I'm sitting at my table and I see this
Uh-huh.
guy walking down the aisle. And I said, that guy looks familiar. That looks like Thomas Blackshear. And sure enough,
Nice.
that was him with his son. And so I had a friend with me and his daughter with me. And they walk up to the table, right? And I start talking to him. And I told my friend his daughter, I said, hey, that's Thomas Blackshear. They looked at me. I said, hey. And I started talking to him. And I said, you mind if I get a picture with you? And then the girl was like, why you want to take a picture with him? Because she knew his son. She went to high school with his son. I said, you don't know who that guy is? She said, nobody know his son. I said, well, his dad's a famous artist named Thomas Blackshear. And so we took pictures and stuff like. So long story short, I know that was long, but long story short,
No worries.
he was like I said, we shook hands, we talked. He said, well, believe it or not, this summer I'm gonna do a workshop, and if you want to come to my workshop, I'm starting in June. And I said,
Cool.
I would definitely be there. So 6 years later, we're still friends, and I learned a lot from him. I'll go to workshops every week. But now I
Nice.
kind of slowed down a little bit because I'm kind of coming into my own now. But I
Yeah.
still drop by his studio just to get more advice and stuff like that.
Cool. Well,
Yeah.
that's wonderful that he was able to have this workshop kind of mentorship.
Oh yeah. So that really pushed my artwork to a whole nother level, gave me an understanding because I remember first starting to his class, he said, you don't know how to use color, do you? I said, as
Mm.
far as painting, not really. And he said, okay. And so now and that's the one thing I will focus on. So I'm about there, almost there.
Yeah, your stuff is incredibly vibrant, and it really pops. It really even like now, the screen that I see, your artwork, frames you really well, and looks like it's really far in the background.
Right.
So that's pretty cool. The looks like Matt chimed in again. Congrats. Let me know how I can help promote the new book.
Hey, I definitely will, man. I got to pick your ear on some things too. I know you've done some outstanding work as well, and also I know you've done some few art books, and I think that's kind of a direction I want to go. I want to try doing a couple more art books. So, Matt, you'll
Cool.
probably be hearing from me.
Nice, nice. That's cool. I think is he around the like the same neighborhood around Colorado Springs?
Yes, he's here in Colorado Springs. Yep. Actually,
No.
Matt was probably one of the first artists that I met from Colorado Springs, but I met him in Denver at the Starfest, and
Oh,
we so and we know when they had the first Starfest Comic Fest.
right.
We kind of joked about it because his last name is Campbell, and J. Scott Campbell was at the same show, but J. Scott Campbell was around the corner, and he told me that people would stop at his booth thinking that he was J. Scott Campbell because they would see the Campbell part.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah.
That's nice. That's not a bad mistake to have made. You get a little extra traffic that way.
Oh yeah, worked out fine.
Oh man, that now you and I were talking before we hopped on about your work schedule. You have an amazingly dedicated and disciplined work schedule that you do, because you still have the day job and everything, right?
Right, right. Yeah, so I work for a government contractor doing graphic design during the day, and like I said, my work hours, and then I have to drive north. I know you don't know when I say drive north, it's like from where I live next to Fort Carson, so it's probably like a 20 to 25-minute drive depending on traffic. And
Mm-hmm.
so I try to get to work like 6:30, between 6:30 and 7 in the morning, and I usually get off around 3:30 in the afternoon. This was before COVID hit, and I
Right.
would get home. I would take me a little 30-minute to hour power nap, and
Yeah.
then I would up and then start my day again for my stuff. Either it was painting or doing comic book work or like you mentioned before, 3D work.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah. The 3D work, that was something that I wasn't expecting. That you were going to go into. Is that something that like, when did you start doing that, or
Well, it's
learning
crazy
that?
because going back to the dinosaur ages, when I was in the military, when I was stationed at Fort Campbell, that was in 96, 97, and I left
Mhm.
Campbell in but right when I told you about when I did the college option, and I
Yeah.
was going for 2D design at OCP University. I was taking some drawing classes and some stuff like that, and there was a kid in the class who did digital painting, and nobody really saw digital painting before. That was like in 2000, 2000, yeah, 2000, as a matter of fact. And
Okay.
so I saw him doing the digital painting with Photoshop, and so I would try to learn. I asked him where he learned. He said on the web and stuff like that. So I'll go to the internet and try to learn how to do stuff with Photoshop as far as digital painting. And so when my 6 months was up, I
Mhm.
went back to Fort Carson, and I'm not Fort Carson, sorry, in Fort Campbell. On military bases, they have like a visual information center, which is
Okay.
basically like a TV station, a little graphic design area, whatever. And so my unit was deploying again, and they
Mhm.
left me on rear detachment because they wanted me to be in charge of some things. And so of course I didn't mind. I already deployed before, so I wanted to stay at home.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
anyway, um, so I went over to the Visual Information Center to see if they had some type of small internship or something I can do while I was on rear detachment.
Mhm.
And they gave me a tour of the place and walked me through all the offices. And then one of the offices was a guy on the computer. So the guy that was giving me the tour, he said, "Hey, step in here. I want to show you something." So there was a guy on the computer named was Chuck. We're friends to this day. He was a civilian contractor. He wasn't in the military, and he was messing with a program called 3ds Max. And I was like, "What's that?" He was like, "Oh, it's doing 3D." And I said, "Oh yeah." I said,
Cool.
"Man, that's crazy." So he was doing characters and stuff like that,
Oh,
and
wow.
and I was like, "Man," I started thinking right away. I said, "Man, I want to try that."
Yeah.
And back then, the software was like $3,000 or $4,000, maybe even $7,000. And
Ooh.
computers were expensive. We had Maya, you had 3ds Max and stuff like that. And then
Right.
trying to learn that would be impossible. And he kind of talked to me a little bit. He said, "Hey, you know what? I got some training CDs and DVDs. If you want to borrow them,
Yeah.
I can let you try them out." I said, "Sure." But like, man, I don't have the software still. I mean, what's the point of having um, this or whatever? He said, "Well, if you
Yeah.
want to come by and use our computers and try to play with it, then you can do that as well." So, okay, not a problem. So on my lunch breaks, I would go over there and get on the computer, sit beside him while he was doing stuff, ask him questions and stuff like that. And that was my start in 3D.
Wow. That's cool. I see a lot of the modeling that you're bringing up. Let me see if I can bring some of that up. So, doing some portrait work.
Yeah.
Um, Are you creating? Is this for the intent of like creating characters, or doing animation, or like just
My,
what's the end goal?
well, when I graduated, well, my degree is in computer animation. When I got out of the Army, I went to Full Sail University to study computer animation. And
Right.
so,
Cool.
even though I knew how to taught myself how to do a little bit of 3D, I wanted to get that degree to say that I could do it. And
Yeah.
so, basically, the goal was to do films. 'Cause I used to watch a bunch of we call it animated shorts, cinematics for games. I'm not
Okay.
a gamer, but the cinematics for games intrigued me, and I was like, man, it looks exciting and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
so started looking at how people were doing the characters, and then back then it was real meticulous because there was a certain way you had to model called box modeling or something that you would model called NURBS. I know it's kind of hard to understand me talking without a visualization, but it was a hard process. But with the newer software we have today, it makes it more possible for everyone. So I was more, since I like painting people and drawing comic book characters, my aim was to work on creating 3D models of characters.
Man, that's cool. And that's something you still continue to this day, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. One thing, even though going back to the drawing and the painting, even though I was a mentor, one thing I told myself, I would never try to let those skill sets go because you never know when those skill sets will help you out. And
Right.
so to this day,
That's
I still
smart.
practice it just in case a project comes up that somebody needs something for, or even myself, I have personal projects that I want to do. Especially now with 3D printing out, you can actually create your 3D models and print them. So whatever you think in your mind, you can actually get a physical character in your hand.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Do you have a 3D printer at your house?
I have bought a 3D printer, the one that prints plastic. I bought it a couple of years ago. It was one of the new ones that first came out.
Oh, okay.
Um, so there's still kind of a few bugs in them when they came out at that time. But recently I did purchase a new 3D printer doing resin. So while we're here in COVID, I'm going to focus on trying to do some resin prints of my designs.
Nice. Oh, that's pretty cool. Yeah. During the pandemic and everything, how has that impacted your life and how you do art? I know you've got your kids there too.
Well, the good thing is because of my job, I do graphic design, and we do a lot of communication through the internet, even when we're at the office anyway. So it was a smooth transition from the office to the house. So all my stuff is set up here in the house from my job, and I do the graphic work for my job here. So now I don't have to drive those 25 minutes to get home to take a nap to work. I still take a nap, but I can get up right away, and I'm here to get it done. Um, and actually, in a way, it's kind of make me work harder just because I want to use my time wisely. Even though we're in this bad situation, I'm trying to use the time that I have here in the house to get a little bit more focused to improve my work.
Nice, man. That yeah, and you still got your kids there. Your 12-year-old, and then everybody else is over 21. And
Oh yeah, I'm playing taxi service, Uber service. My 12 year
yeah.
old, he had to adapt to take classes online using his laptop, and
Oh,
so
okay.
trying to keep him focused and keeping him doing what he's supposed to do, and at the same time doing my job. It's a little different, but hey, we're working
Yeah.
through it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. And then you were mentioning too that even though the with COVID, can't talk right now, with COVID and everything, you're still doing gallery shows, and I think you mentioned you're doing a gallery show up here in Denver at a hospital.
Right, right. I got a friend that lives in Denver. He's an artist, and he kind of mentioned to them that I was an artist here in Colorado Springs, and they looked me up, gave me a call, and they went to my website and saw my artwork, and they said, "Hey, we're doing a show in February, and we would like to have some of your work in our gallery." So I said, "Okay, I have a few pieces because, like I told you before, I have an art rep, and they get the work that I have. The majority of it goes to them. So the stuff that they don't take, I'm using that for the art show in Denver."
Oh, cool. That's pretty cool. Is it like a charity show, or like a
Black
fundraiser?
Black History Month is in February, and
Oh,
so
that's right.
yeah, so they want to work in the hospital stuff that we might want to donate, and it's going to be a whole month event. It starts in February, but it's going to last all the way through April. So
Oh,
I'm gonna make it up there eventually to go up there and see the work and see the other. I think there's a total, and I might be wrong because I only saw my friend is in it, named Thomas Lockhart. He's in it, and then there's 3 more artists that are in it that I know of.
oh, cool. Do you recall what the dates are? Does it start right at the beginning of February?
That starts next week, and then
Oh,
I
nice.
think it lasts to like the first week of April. So I
Nice.
definitely got to get my stuff up there to them before next week.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man. Well, man, that's cool. That's really exciting. So it sounds like you're really busy and you're still making the rounds, and a pandemic can't slow you down.
No, I mean, like I said, we gotta use this time wisely. I'm here at the house, and either that or get super fat, eating a lot of food and drinking a lot of sodas and stuff like that. So I definitely gotta, try to work on my artwork.
Yeah. Oh, that's pretty cool. The you know what's the one thing that you miss the most about the art world during this time in the pandemic?
But actually, me and my wife was talking about that a couple of days ago. Man, the Comic Cons, man. The
Nice.
Comic
Yeah.
meeting with you, the other guys, Matt, Jason, Montoya. I mean, just the camaraderie of artists, seeing what everybody's been doing throughout the year, just meeting up, see what projects are getting out,
Right.
talking to people, seeing the cosplayers, man, just missing that comic scene, period.
Yeah,
You know?
just that camaraderie.
Yeah. Networking with other artists, doing the Comic Cons, you get to see who's been working together, what projects they come out with. And I mean, you can still do it here through the internet, but it's nothing like face to face. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
Face to face.
Yeah, it becomes so much more impactful and personable. When you're face to face with other people. That's certainly something that I definitely miss.
Yeah, not just meeting up with the artists, but also like the fans. They come in, they look at your work,
Right.
and you see their looks on their faces. And people who collect your art, they get excited to see what you got next and what you're doing and what you're currently doing.
Yeah, that's cool. So you're probably well, is actually, I guess, is Black Lion 3 out, or is that about to be released?
Last I checked, it wasn't on because Ron, he runs it on indieplanet.com. And
Okay.
last time I checked, it wasn't posted. I know they said they had a few issues just due to the COVID, but it is coming out. It's finished.
Cool. Cool. But no release date yet.
Not yet. I haven't heard anything from Ron yet. So
Okay. So tell us a little bit about Black Lion. I guess that's one series that I'm unfamiliar with, but Matt's a fan of.
well, the first book that came out, like I said, I think that was like what 2012 or something like that.
Mhm.
And Ron had approached me at the Rocky Mountain Con when we first started on it. And I did a cover for one of Ron's novels before I even did a comic book for him. He
Oh,
did
cool.
he had a Sinbad series that he was working on, and he saw some of my paintings online on Facebook. And basically, what happened was that I had my portfolio with me at the Rocky Mountain Con. I think
Mhm.
it was the first Rocky Mountain Con, as a matter of fact. And
Okay.
so I had my portfolio, and he said, "What's that?" I said, "That's my portfolio." He said, "Well, let me check it out." And so I showed it to him, and I had some illustrated comic pages. And he was like, "I didn't know you did comic book work too." I said, "Yeah, that's what I wanted to do was comic books." And he was like, "Well, I got a story for you. It's a military guy. You coming from the military, you probably have an understanding of that. And it's something that I wrote 20 years ago." So I said, "Okay." He said it's based off of Rambo, but
Okay.
it's more of an intelligent character. Rambo kind of talk weird and kind of act a little weird, but he said this character is a little bit more serious, real intelligent, and I think you'll be a good person to work on it. I said, okay, appreciate it. So
Cool.
I think a week later, he sent me the script, and I ran the script over, and it's actually about a soldier named Lion. He served in the military, special forces. He grew up on an army reservation, Indian reservation. His dad was African American. His
Mm.
mom was Native Indian. Um, his dad played pro football. His dad got injured. His dad had a lot of issues because of his injury. He ended up getting his leg amputated, and
Mhm.
so he was treating Lion and his mom pretty bad. So um, his mom passed away. So when Lion was young, and he decided to leave home, he got in trouble. Him and his dad got into a fight.
Mm.
Um, Ended up going to court. Court said back in the day, join the army or go to jail. He
Mm.
joined the military, became special forces, went through some combat, stuff like that. Left the military, um, and then ended up working for his former commander as a private. What's the word? What's the word? I don't say mercenary, but something like that.
Like special forces
Yeah,
or?
yeah, but he's out of the military now, but he's still doing special missions for
Oh, okay. You know,
because they still have.
kind of a gun for hire type. I don't know.
Yeah, there you go. So there's some renegades that's still out in the world that they hire Lion to go after and get. And so the first book that we posted was basically like the setup book. You learn the background of Lion, where he came from, and stuff like that. And then the next chapter of the book is basically where they hire him to go capture some former enemies of the U.S. But these guys were Americans who were traitors, and they're in Canada doing some bad things. And so he meets up with a friend in Canada, older guy, and then they get attacked and stuff like that, and go through that whole process. And then the third chapter is where they actually go to Canada, and it's a lot more action. The first book is kind of like a slow moving story. The second book speeds up a little bit, and then the third book speeds up a little bit more, where they actually in Canada. They get captured. They're going through. I guess the bad guys have set up a training camp for what you call it, mercenaries themselves, and so Lion and his friend go and disrupt that operation, and then so the last third chapter end up where he kills everybody, but he still has to go back for the major guy, and that's going to be the last chapter.
It kind of sounds like Rambo, but also like A-Team.
Yeah, yeah. It's a one man, two man team almost.
Yeah, we use a 1-man, 2-man team. Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, that's cool. So, have you been doing some more comic book work, or is that the main comic book project you've been working on?
Well, this is the main one I worked on. I have somebody who reached out to me already to start another book after this one. I told him I can't get anything started until I finish Black Lion. So I might be working with somebody shortly after we finish this one.
Oh, cool, man! That's pretty sweet. What with all the different art disciplines that you've been able to put on your palette, what's your favorite to go and do?
See, that's always a hard one. But what comes easier to me, I would say the painting.
Oh, okay, nice.
The painting comes a bit easier to me. Only reason why I say that is because with a painting, you can tell a story in one image. When you're doing a comic book, you're probably drawing 28 pages with 6 panels on each page. And so you got to work on perspective, the storytelling and stuff like that. So painting, definitely. 3D is a little more on the technical side. So 3D, I think, can frustrate you a little bit more than anything.
Yeah.
So painting was definitely, my go-to before anything else.
That's pretty cool. The I've now do the occasional mural project, and that's when it comes to painting, that certainly is a process that I really do enjoy. Yeah. For me, it becomes kind of meditative. Do you ever experience anything like that?
Man, time goes by so fast when I'm doing it. When I'm painting, it's like I'm a whole different world. I'm just in that zone, just looking at something, and before you know, 5 hours are gone. I'm like, man, what time is it? It's crazy. And,
right.
When I first started trying to manage my time, and I started getting deep into my painting, I would start like I told you, I would get up from my power nap. I would start painting probably around 4:30. Man, I think one time I stayed up to like maybe almost 1 o'clock the next morning.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, so it's crazy.
Wow, that's pretty intense. Yeah, that's more than 24 hours, right?
Oh yeah.
When you're doing that and you're working away, do you in the studio, are you like playing music or TV, in the background? Because usually when I'm working, especially if I'm drawing, I've got whatever I'm streaming, whatever video. I'm not really watching it. It's just like noise in the background. So I guess so many of the movies that I watch just ends up being audiobooks.
Okay. Yeah. A lot of the things that sometimes I do listen to music. It depends. But what I do like in the mornings or like especially on the weekends, I listen to a lot of motivational stuff.
Yeah.
Like there's a videos that has a mixture of like Arnold Schwarzenegger Eric Thomas, David Goggins, who else? Les Brown, and there's some other motivational speakers. So I just put a headset on sometimes and just
Oh,
listen to
cool.
motivational stuff as I'm painting. And then if the weekend, like a Friday or something like that, I might put on some music just to change it up a little bit. I usually listen to more like old R&B music or a mixture of hip hop music, or something that I can just zone out to while I'm painting. Yeah.
Yeah. What ends up being like your go-to as far as like music? Is it like somebody like Aretha Franklin, or
I'm
Beyonce, or?
I'm a hardcore '90s guy, so I
Oh, all
listen
right. No
to
kidding.
old New Edition type stuff, or
Oh, wow.
some Keith Sweat, or some
Hmm.
Jagged Edge, or some stuff like that, some old R&B stuff that you really don't hear on the radio anymore. So that's my go-to.
Nice. God, I remember, back in the '90s, like if of all things, I was really into like Boys to Men.
Yeah,
You know,
boy. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
yeah, I can still go back to some of their catalog, and it's just like, wow, this is still really good stuff, and
Right.
holds up well.
Yeah.
It's not like something like Aretha,
Right.
uh, but still, it still compels you, and
Oh
it's
yeah.
very
Yeah.
transportive.
Right. Right. And like I said, some of the songs, those music, they can help you zone out while you're painting, because you talked
Yeah,
about something else. So listen to the music, you're painting, so it's like you're in your own world at that time. Nothing else is around you.
yeah, yeah. Some of the things I've got playing these days is like Screamin' Jay Hawkins. I just love the bombastity of
Mhm.
it. It's so much fun. Um, I ended up watching a documentary on the whole goth movement, and
Yeah.
you can pretty much trace
Mhm.
almost all roads back to Screaming Jay Hawkins.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like what an unsuspecting birthplace for melancholy pale kids music. Um, but man, when you're painting, is it like what medium are you painting in? Is it oils
Um,
or acrylics?
well, earlier when I first started putting my stuff out pretty good, I was in the acrylic zone.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
and so most of the first earlier page you've seen on my Facebook page or website or whether those are acrylics. But then I transitioned to oils.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Yeah.
What's your favorite thing about like working in oil paint?
The blending.
Hmm.
Uh, you don't have to fight. Acrylics, you have to fight it. You know what I mean? They have a type of mediums you can mix with acrylic, but sometimes those mediums are kind of tacky. So it's
Hmm.
kind of when you're pushing the paint, it kind of acts kind of weird and acts kind of funny.
Okay.
So oil allows me just to blend and take it further, especially now that I'm doing bigger paintings.
Right.
Acrylic, you get those real blotchy looking type spots if you don't blend well. So with
Right.
the oils, make sure I get a smoother look. But if that's the look you're going for, just based on the style you're looking for me, I want that cleaner look.
Nice. That's pretty cool. When I was painting, especially in art school, um, I started out in oils, and then I realized that the what was it, the paint thinners,
Right,
the toxic and the non-toxic, they were
right.
both giving me headaches.
Yeah. And yeah, when I started doing the oils, I was using the linseed or not linseed oil and turpentine and something else. And like you said, those smells would get to you. So
Yeah.
somebody told me about this oil. It's the what's this name? Walnut oil. So now I use walnut oil. It doesn't have any fumes to it, and I don't get headaches from it or anything like that. So it works good.
Good.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, that's when I started switching over to acrylics,
Yeah.
and then I realized, oh yeah, I just have to work really fast.
Oh yeah. But acrylics, they dry so fast. That's the advantage of acrylics. If you want something done to get it out quicker, of course,
Yeah.
acrylic dry. And like I said, they do have mediums to slow the drying of it down. But for me, excuse me,
Mhm.
for me and acrylics and using those mediums, sometimes they make it feel like it's kind of tacky. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. The yeah, with you know, when you're doing a project like that, do you really what's the like drying time that you have to account for? Typically, is it like 2 weeks or something?
For the oils,
Right.
actually, you have a medium called liquid. So
Oh, okay.
if you
Speed.
measure it right, it could probably take you maybe at the most 3 days to dry.
Okay. Okay, that's not too bad.
And
Um,
depending on how thick too, if you paint thin and mix it with the liquid, it'll help you dry faster. But of course, the thicker the paint, the longer it take to dry.
Right, right. Yeah, I remember one of the tricks that I used to do without using like additional mediums is stick it in the oven.
Oh man, I didn't know that.
I don't advise it. It can get really messy.
Yeah, I imagine oils is a messy medium anyway. So yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, and then like heat being applied to oil kind of makes things stink, longer than it should.
But you know what? There is an oil paint that you can dry in the oven, and it's designed that way. I forgot the name. I have some in the back. One of my friends gave it to me, but it's an
Oh,
oil
cool.
that you can paint with, and it never dries. But you put it in the oven to dry it.
Oh, cool. Oh, nice.
Yeah,
That's smart.
and it's designed that way.
Paint and bake.
That's it. Paint.
Yeah, you don't even have to wake and bake.
Nope, just paint. And bake. Yep.
Oh, that's hilarious. The as a kid when you were growing up, like obviously you're doing comic books now. What was your favorite comic book growing up?
X-Men.
Oh, cool.
I have a friend, and he lives in Atlanta now. But when we was in school, we used to collect, the X-Men, and that's when John Byrne was drawing the X-Men.
Hmm. Nice.
It's funny that they got the movies and everything out now because as kids, we was like, man, this would be great as a movie.
Right.
Let me drink some water.
Yeah, no worries. I know that feeling.
Yeah, no. But it's funny because now Wolverine has a daughter, but we were drawing the X-Men with kids back then a long time ago.
Yeah.
I had Wolverine, I drew a son. I said, what if Wolverine had a son? So I would draw a son. It kind of looks like Wolverine, but he didn't have Wolverine's attitude, So those are things that we would do back then. So it was crazy. X-Men was my favorite book back then, of course.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Back then with kids, I'm sure yeah, Wolverine's son probably a much more pleasant person if you were drawing him.
Oh, he was a little bit nicer.
Yeah, yeah, you're a little bit
Yeah,
more approachable. Wouldn't scratch you.
yeah, yeah. But it was great because when me and my friend we talked about that. Matter of fact, last week he said, "Man, can you believe when we were younger, we was wishing the X-Men had a movie. We were drawing the characters. They had kids already. I mean, we were just taking that whole comic book thing to a whole nother level. At our ages back then, that was like what the late 70s, early 80s, stuff like. Well, actually, early 80s. I'm not that old, so early 80s.
Yeah. It's pretty remarkable to see how much our childhood has kind of propelled pop culture as a whole. Is that something that your kids have been able to really jump in with? Oh, you got a little freeze frame. Still there?
Right.
Oh, there you are,
Right.
Kevin. Oh, Kevin, did you hear me?
Have a little issue.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah. I hear you just fine. Did you hear my question?
No, can you say it again?
Oh, so you and I, growing up with that stuff, and seeing how our childhoods have informed pop culture.
Right.
Is that something that your kids have been able to really jump into?
I think early when they were younger, yes. They
Mm-hmm.
used to go to the Comic Cons with me a little bit. But I think my youngest one now, he watches a lot of cartoons, and I think my other kids. Well, actually, I didn't get to see it to be honest because I was in the military and I did deploy a lot. But
Mm-hmm.
now that I'm here with my 12-year-old, I can see that he's watching a lot of cartoons and stuff like that. And that's what I did when I was a kid. Back then we had a lot of cartoons, a lot more than
Right.
they have now. You know what I mean? So
Right.
that was something that um, it's different for them, I think, with the internet and social media and stuff like that. They're a little bit more distracted than we were when it comes to that type of stuff. But seeing in my 12-year-old, like I said, the type of stuff he watch, I can say yes for him. And for the other ones, like I said, I was not there that much because of the military life. Yeah.
Nice, nice. Gerard just jumped in. He said, "Awesome." I think he was talking about in regards to um, you growing up with X-Men.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yep. John Byrne was my heavy influence. I know I see a lot of guys on that talk about John Byrne as their foot. I ate John Byrne, slept John Byrne, drew John Byrne.
That's awesome. Did you ever get into his Next Men?
Oh yeah, I got all kinds of stuff from the next one. I liked it because it was his own story, and
Mm-hmm.
John Byrne had a nice way of creating stories that would just take you away from everything. You know what I mean? You could just
Yeah.
dive into them, and you'd be like, man, who comes up with this stuff like this? And back then, I think he was the only guy that could really take your mind away as a kid coming to comic books. In
Right.
my opinion, yeah,
Yeah. Well, and I think also too, like when I think of John Byrne uh, around the 1980s, I think about his how he reapproached and Superman, uh,
yes,
and kind of uh, reintroduced him to a little bit more modern age.
right,
Uh,
right,
and then I think also of Alan Moore's writing of that character too. I think it was only a handful of issues if I remember
right,
too.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, yeah. For me, like growing up, it was Batman and it was
Hmm.
X-Men.
Okay, well, my next book, I told you I was a John Byrne fan.
Mhm.
Alpha Flight was my next book.
Oh, cool! Wow,
John,
really?
little
That's
characters that
cool.
John Byrne created himself, um, characters from Canada. Puck, he was like the Wolverine, but a little bit shorter, a little bit feistier.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah. So I think Alpha Flight was my next big book, the next big book for me from John Byrne after X-Men. Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, it's interesting to see how they take these characters and kind of adapt them for other mediums. Like for the films and everything, and TV, and yeah, I would wonder too. Like it seems like video games, even though it takes just as long, to produce a video game as it does a film, it seems like there's just a lot more opportunity for variety.
Yeah. From as far as the games,
Right.
oh yeah, games. Even if you look at it today, the game industry outlasts the film industry. Because I had some friends I went to school with,
Mhm.
that worked at movie studios and game studios, and it seems
Nice.
like the guys that worked at the movie studios were always jumping around trying to find the next job, and when that movie is over, they're looking for the next job. But the guys in the video game industry, I'm not going to say all of them, but I know most of them tend to stay there for quite a few years. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, and even like during the pandemic too,
Oh
like
yeah,
you can still work at developing your video game from
yeah,
home,
right.
while producing a film. If it's a big Hollywood film, you're kind of screwed.
Oh yeah, and you see a lot more people trying to create stuff too. Jump
Yeah.
into the animation field. I see a lot of guys online trying to come up with their own creations, comic books, and I kind of put it like this because I see a lot of independent guys out there, and it's always been the biggest thing about going to the comic cons. You would always have to um, go. I won't say this in the wrong way, but you always had the big name comic book guys there,
Right.
and you as an independent, you would see the lines that the independent, the major comic book guys would have, but you as an independent, you're hoping somebody would come visit your table and stuff like that. So I think with COVID and social media and everything going on, it's kind of made it almost like a level, even playing field now.
I would agree. You have more opportunities here, and under these limitations, like with you said with your friends creating their own things and stuff.
Right.
These limitations do breed some wonderful innovations.
Right. Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
So I think now that the field is even playing field now. I see a lot of guys creating independent. I see Kickstarters taking off left and right.
Right.
So a lot of guys are doing well. Hate the situation we in, but a lot of guys are getting a lot of more stuff done, a lot more things out there.
Yeah, and with that too, like obviously you still have to some extent, comic book retailers are kind of open, whether it's by appointment or socially distanced, in a mask or what have you. So definitely, by all means, support your local shops. But you also have like online digital platforms like Comixology, Webtoons out of South Korea, which is massive.
Right.
So is that someplace that we can also find Black Lion?
No, I think only if I just drop them off myself. I know there's a couple of comic shops I talked to in the past before all this happened to see if they would carry it in the store, and they told me they would.
Cool.
So I haven't really reached out to do it that way yet, just because I do so many things, and it's kind of hard for me to kind of focus in just that area.
Right.
Maybe after all this is over and we get that last chapter of Black Lion done, we're going to come up with a compilation book, a graphic novel featuring all 4 chapters in one book.
Cool.
So that's probably one thing I would definitely try to get out to the comic book shops.
Nice. That sounds awesome. Yeah, that'll be nice. And then you're probably looking forward to the next comic book project that you mentioned. And
oh yeah.
I'm sure on the future it's just more paintings and more design and more comics, huh?
Oh yeah, like I told you earlier, was off camera. I think my goal right now is to try to get better in different departments. I know they say you can't be jack of what, Matt? What's the word?
Jack of all trades.
Jack of all master. Yeah, jack of all trades. It's hard to try to really get master. Yeah, master of none. Yeah. So for me, I'm trying to get better at everything, but I know it's hard to do it. So I try to just do it at my level, and I'm basically trying to spend that time to get better for that.
Well, sir, you are knocking it out of the park. I'm always in awe with the amount of work that you're putting out there and that you're seeing and just watching you grow as an artist.
Right.
Now I love it because you're one of those artists now that kind of propels me. It's like, oh crap, you put that out? Well, fine, I'm gonna go this shit. Yeah, take that, you jerk. Oh, I did another painting. All right.
Yeah. Well, it's fun because I do the same thing. It's not like I said earlier. It's not a competition thing. It's like a motivational thing. Yeah. I'm always looking to see. Like I said, I've been seeing your stuff. You're pumping workout, even though you don't think so. I think so. I see some other guys like Matt doing some work. I see guys like Jason Montoya killing those cards that he does.
Yeah, pumping it out daily.
So I get on Instagram and I'm finding new artists to look at. Man, there's so many artists out there doing great things. It's amazing. And it's funny because I think a lot of people are doing real good during the COVID because they get to see our art. Us as an artist, we're producing art, but they actually get to see the art that's, trying to take them to another place. You know what I mean? So I think we're doing that.
Yeah, I think that's that's one really good thing about this is we're able to as artists help kind of enrich and give back.
Exactly.
Kind of make more of a sustainable culture. And I think for a lot of people too, like during this times, during the political upheaval and COVID and everything, it's wonderful escapism, but it's certainly hopefully it helps with people's depression too, to see this
Oh
stuff.
yeah, I think so. I think so.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Kevin, thanks for coming on, and for everybody that's out there that's watching, make sure after the show, do this after the show. Go to Kevin's website, which is kevjart.com, and see more of his works. Reach out, commission him to do a piece, and just Kevin, you're an inspiration. I absolutely love your paintings. Keep it up. I love the bright palettes and the patterns that you come up with. So I can't wait to see what you put out next.
Well, I appreciate you having me and taking the time of your day to interview me. I was glad to be a part of the show. You're doing a great job at the show, and I love watching them. And I can't wait to see who you have on next. Keep it up, man.
Thanks so much. I really appreciate it. This is a great excuse, like I said, off camera, to reach out to people I know and find out a little bit more about them and
Right.
what they do. And at the same time, I'm able to connect with people that I don't know and meet new people and make new friends. And hopefully everybody that's out there, that tunes in can appreciate that.
For sure, for sure.
Well, cool. Well, Kevin, thanks again for coming on, and just hang out for a little bit. And to everybody that tuned in, thanks so much. Hope you're having a great Monday. Make sure to help each other, look out for each other, take care of each other, and we love you.
Thank
Bye.
you.